So you were saying that you feel like we can't connect because we're doing too much time fighting each other.
Absolutely.
Instead of fighting for the relationship.
Or fighting for love and understanding and commitment and compassion. But it starts with men feeling, comfortable enough to be vulnerable and open. And that's a hard thing to ask a man to do because we were not conditioned that way. A lot of us weren't raised that way. It can be considered a sign of weakness in the same way that therapy is considered a sign of weakness. We're talking about your experiences and my experiences. We have more in common than we probably ever thought we did, right? And so to me, that's the thing that makes me feel this sense of urgency to have this conversation with you, but also there's a hopefulness. There's a hopefulness that if we actually each do the work, we can actually come together because there's nothing more important to me than Black people.
Right. People, they need to hear this shit.
Absolutely.
Like, they need to know
Absolutely.
that you don't have to be stuck in this place that this trauma, this pain, all these things want us to
We're
be stuck
supposed
in.
to be living joyful lives. Women are supposed to just be able to be feminine and soft, still be in your power, still be successful, still be mothers, professionals, famous, whatever it is. We can be all of the things, right?
And men should be able to be loving. I feel like they're going to get emasculated or these things and I just feel like if everybody took the time to look inward and to work on themselves
in an honest way,
you have to be honest. And I just feel like if we can do that as a people, we'll be in a better space. I hope and I pray that this conversation can open up different conversations in our culture about being there for each other and not being at odds with each other, no matter what we've been through. And they give you the flowers. You've done an amazing job in maintaining your integrity throughout your career, right? As a person, as a human being, and it meant the world to me to sit across from you and just tell you my story. As a man, I just hope that our women, Black women in particular, can see this and give us a safe space. Really, women all the way across the board, because we as men, like, we're hurt to be vulnerable to tell your partner that, right now I'm in a bad space. We're going through it out here every day. You wouldn't even imagine, right? And there's no safe place for us to land. There's no safe place for us to have these conversations. We can't have it with our homies. We can't have it with our brothers and our partners because it doesn't rest.
It doesn't translate because they don't have life experience.
Right, and they don't have that empathy there, right? They don't have that mothering, that nurturing thing, and this is like, for me, it's real.
Yeah, shout out to Jeezy and Nia. I said, if y'all haven't seen that interview that she did with Jeezy, definitely go check that out. But that was just a little snippet from the interview. But even in their conversation, they're talking about the fact that these fellas, can't be vulnerable out here. Jeezy's talking about the fact that there's no safe space for these fellas to land, that fellas are in need of the nurturing characteristics that come from our women when they're trying to be in these vulnerable states and actually be transparent. And it's not there. Yep, it's not available to us. Yeah, but I think one of the key takeaways from that video was the fact that Nia started getting emotional. See, the interesting part about that video is it represents what we live today. I'm willing to bet money. If Jeezy would have started crying on that video, social media posts would be looking really different right now. But we didn't bat an eye. We didn't think twice when Nia got the crying on that video. And the reason she's crying is because it's hitting. It's hitting that spot. And I'm sure Jeezy, it was hitting him too. That's why he was saying what he was saying. But he can't get on there and He can't get that vulnerable. Yeah, he better not let a tear come out his. He better not. Let me go to my guy Vince real fast. Vince. So if Jeezy dropped a tear, man, what you think we'll be talking? What you think will be happening today, man?
It was just like my example of that Trump attorney. I'm telling you, she was crying like a baby, and them other attorneys were sitting there and they about to get 5, 10 years. They can't go up there and start crying. You just can't do it. I mean, it's sad because I'm pretty sure he want to cry more than she do because he got an ex-wife. He's about to have an ex-wife, and he got a small child. At least with her situation, they had been together for a long time, not married. So really, that's just
Right.
my opinion on the situation. They had already, she said that she never wanted to get married anyway. So it really wasn't a big thing. But it seemed like he should wasn't doing the crime. I mean, 2.5 years of marriage and a 1-year-old.
Right.
I want to cry for him because
That's real.
it's really sad.
Let's see, Kenyatta. Let's see. She said it's the effective communication for me. Black people should be able to have these types of conversations without any stigmas or judgments. Facts. Yeah, and I think, like I said, we got a chance to see in that video. I know it was an interview, but Jeezy had to at least feel that the space was safe to at least say what he said. Nigga, we talking about what's Jeezy old nickname, the Snowman. So we know good and well they wasn't talking like that back on the corner. They wasn't talking like that. So he at least had to have a level of safety or feel a level of safety and comfort to be able to say some of the things that he said. So yeah, I agree with you, Kenyatta. We do have to be able to have these conversations, especially without the judgment. Yeah, especially without the judgment. Because like some of the videos that I played earlier, for men, they take these things or they hold these things very near and dear to their heart. Yep. So when they decide that they've gotten around a young lady or a female that they feel like they can be vulnerable with or be transparent with, and then when they do that and that female takes a shot at them, or that female disrespects them in some way when they're trying to be transparent and vulnerable with you, making that big step that a lot of men don't like to make because they know it can come with repercussions. Yeah, ladies, you can't fumble that bag. Because like the video said, you only get a chance or two. And then the dude, he just gonna shut down. Yeah. And to be honest with you, I think some ladies, if they were to be honest, they've probably seen it before. Yeah, you've probably been having a conversation with a man and he transparent moment with you in that conversation. And then if you really pay attention, you've noticed that he's just shut down on you. Yeah, you be like, what you thinking? Or what you think about this? And he be like, nah, nothing, it ain't nothing. It's good. He done with it. And it's like that was probably one of those situations where you fumbled that bag. Yeah, when that man was trying to tell you something, you couldn't just listen. Yeah, you was trying to combat what he was saying. You was trying to somehow flip it around like somehow he was the problem. And he was just trying to be transparent and vulnerable with you. And you fumbled that thing. Right. Yeah, but then you wonder why when you come to him on some real stuff, he don't want to give you nothing. Because he thinking back to that time when he tried to do that with you, when he thought he could trust you. That's the key. He thought he could trust you. Yep, and you showed him he couldn't. So now he just don't say nothing. He just keep it bottled up. So yeah, we got to be real about this thing. We got to pay attention, let's say, because it's I'm sure we've seen it. I said, I'm sure a lot of the ladies, if you be honest with yourself, you probably have seen it before. Yeah, you probably have seen it before.
You have to understand that person is not perfect, and neither are you. In a portion of the interview, he said, being able to look at each other, like look inside, right? So that starts with you as an individual. You have to look at yourself and you have to go, am I communicating as effectively? That's wonderful for me to say, when I come to her and be vulnerable, I need her to receive it. You're right. She does need to receive it. But let's look at, how do you communicate though? Because this ain't about putting it back on you, but we do have to look at ourselves. When you communicate, when you come and you bring your feelings and you're trying to be vulnerable, you're trying to express to this person how you feel about something, especially if it's something that about them that made you feel a certain type of way. How are you communicating that? Right? Because we can say, I can't express myself to a person, but is it that you can't express yourself? Or is it the way you're expressing yourself? Because it does matter. This is like a woman coming to you, want to tell you about, something that you did to her, but she yelling and screaming and cussing and fussing. Like, how are you supposed to receive that? How do you actually receive that to do anything with it? You can't. And I think that that's the thing we have to understand too. It's one thing to say, I want to have a conversation, let's be vulnerable. But how do we express that really? Like, what does that really look like? And that does start with you first. So, I mean, if I was to say anything, I would land there because I think that it's time out. Like, we're spinning our wheels. And for me, it's time out for us just kind of being talking heads and making talking points, and just kind of talking at each other. Like, this is literally getting us nowhere. And I know it's a bunch of people making a bunch of money, but it's not helping us at all. It's doing literally nothing for our community. And in a minute, it's going to get to a point where we're all desensitized by it and nobody cares anymore. And then what? So,
come back to the panel. See, Donovan said a lot of women aren't nurturers today. I feel that point right there, Donovan. I feel that point. He said a vulnerable man forces his woman's nurturing side to be present. That's real too. It's real too. Good comment, man. Good comment. All right, let me go to the panel. I said, and we're gonna get on out of here. Actually, I'm gonna go to Hirsch first. I'm gonna go to Chloe, and I'm gonna go to Vince, and we're gonna get on out of here. Hirsch, you want to say anything closing before we get out of here, brother?
Yeah, I feel like it. This is why it's so important for family. The family structure to be there. Because I think what I tell a lot of people is like a lot of things that we deal with in life. I feel like it starts in the home. It starts with where you were, brought up, your upbringing, what you saw, what you were exposed to. So I think that if a lot of us that saw an exchange between a man and a woman being vulnerable towards each other, with each other, then it would be normal. You know what I'm saying? But the house has been broken, so people are just in survival mode, and again, and they don't, some like people that don't even get a chance to see their father at all, let alone even see let alone even see him in a vulnerable state. You know what I'm saying? They don't see him at all, so they have nothing to go by. And as far as I'm talking about from both, whether it's a son or a daughter, you know what I'm saying? So I think that's where it is. That's what we got to try to work towards, like keeping families together or just keeping a structure. It doesn't have to even be, it could be a blended family, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be like the exact biological stuff, just a structure where it has the man and the woman and they're both just a healthy relationship between a husband and a wife or a mother and a father. So they can carry that on. And that's what we need to do with that's been broken, I think.
Makes sense, man. Makes sense. Appreciate that.
What I did like about the conversation that they had, because we're using them as tonight's case study, right? I think that I appreciated that he took accountability for a lot of the things that he had done and he had experienced. And I think that that's the lesson, right? That's the major takeaway. Like, it's really time for us to start taking accountability for our own actions, our choices, our behavior, because that's how you really heal. You cannot truly heal from any experiences if you're still looking for someone to blame or you're not taking accountability for it, or you're ignoring it, you're burying it. You have to take accountability. That's the first step. Honestly, until you take accountability for your behavior, there's no point in you don't bring anybody else into your world. Don't do it, because all you're going to do is project the trauma that you haven't healed from onto the other person. And listen, healing is a journey. You don't go to a couple of counseling sessions and think you're healed. You don't, change your hair, change your face, change your, butt or anything else and then think you're healed. That's not how it works. It is literally a process, and you have to walk through that process. And to be honest, if you have any kind of trauma, you're going to be healing from it for the rest of your life, because that's it. It's not how it works. You don't just boom, bam, I'm done, I'm over it. That's not how it works. So I think that if we want to say we want healed relationships, we want healed people, we want emotionally intelligent people, then we have to be those people. All of this stuff that we're asking for from other people, we can start by being those things ourselves.
Facts. Simple as that. Appreciate it. I'm going to my guy Vince. You want to say anything before we get out of here, brother?
Yeah, I think that there needs to be a sense of vulnerability for men in relationships with women. If we're trying to be one, if we're trying to build families, if we're trying to love each other, you have to be open. There has to be open lines of communication. I think that's something that we definitely need. But we have to feel like we're in a safe space. We have to feel like the things that we're going to share is that we're sharing it with someone that's going to be loving and nurturing, and that's going to really listen and love us through our pains, because we all have something. We all have trauma. We all have childhood trauma and things that we have to get through. But we have to be open and vulnerable and emotional to one another to make it work.
Facts. No, I agree with that, man. Good close.